You guys are welcome to think whatever you want, but it ain't gonna work. Here's the deal. Wyatt said, was the quiz easy? And I said it was fair.
That's not fair.
Now, why do you think that's not fair?
Because it was fair to you, not fair to us.
Why?
Because you went to college.
What's Greg?
I went to college.
They didn't get to go to college.
Here's the deal. That was straight off a Regents exam.
Exactly.
So,
We're all gonna
if that, now do you understand the importance of the Common Core Regents? That was, the last question on the test, I believe, is worth 6 points. There's only one of them, and that was a 6-point question. How many people here can afford to take a 0 on a 6-point question?
Well, Yeah, well, if you get everything
Now,
else right,
no, you cannot. You can't, because I'll do this by a show of hands. In your heart, when you think of yourself as a student and where you want to go in life and so on and so forth, how many people here would really, truly want and are willing to work for an 85?
Oh.
Okay, you cannot give up 6 points and get that 85. Last year, the highest grade in our school, I don't know if it was the district, it might have been the second highest in the district, was Aiden Minushkin. And I can't remember if he got a 94 or a 96.
Oh, God.
But if he would have dropped 6 points, even Aiden could have been at an 88. And Aiden is an extremely good math student. So, this is tough. Now, I have always felt that I could do just about anything on the face of the earth as long as I was prepared for it, as long as I knew what was coming. When it came to my knee surgery, that was tough. That was really, really hard. I probably told you, but I wanted no oxy. Oxycodone is a very addictive medication that you get to relieve pain. And addiction does run in my family. There are people who have had problems with alcohol. Not so much drugs, but alcohol. I think my dad had problems with it, and I know my grandfather did when his son died. So I wanted no part of it, and I do not drink. I have never been drunk in my life. I have never smoked a cigarette, a joint. I've never done a drug as long as I've been alive. I've never done it. And in part, well, for starters, I can't stand the way smoke smells. I think it's disgusting. And I really don't like the taste of beer. I think it tastes awful. But that said, I am terrified of being an addict, and I don't want to be an addict. So when I had my knee surgery, I attempted to go through it without any medication. And I stood up 4 hours out of surgery, and my eyes rolled into the back of my head. I felt like I was shooting sweat bullets out of my body, and I came as close to passing out as I've ever come in my entire life. The pain was excruciating. And then once I felt what that pain was like, I knew what I was up against. And I did what I had to do, and now my knees are doing fantastic because I understood the price that had to be paid, and I was willing to pay the price. This question I gave to you so that you understand just how tough this test could be and just how important every day between now and the test is. You can't take it with a lack of seriousness. You can't miss homework. You can't clown around. You can't say, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. There's just not enough leeway. This is a really hard test. And when you signed up for this class, you signed up for this. You have to step it up. I want you to think for just 1 second about what a failing grade will look like on your transcript. If you consider yourself an honors student, what would a 74 look like on your transcript? I want to go you one better. This is how insidious and evil this is. The people who are making this test, don't listen to any of the garbage you read in the papers. The truth of the matter is that in short order, they're going to come out with computer programs that they're going to try to sell to schools. And their computer programs are going to cure all the problems students have, especially in the assessment tests. They want to show that students are not mastering the material. They don't want you to all fail, don't get me wrong. They do not want you to get 50s and 60s because your parents will be livid if that happens, and then they have to deal with the political fallout. Look at all the opt-out movement and look at how strong that is and how nobody wants to deal with that. This test must be passed to graduate. Can you imagine if kids don't graduate because the test is too hard? And how ugly that would get for all the politicians who make these idiotic rules? Now, they do not want you to look like you are mastering the material. Mastering is defined as 85 or above. It used to be such that in the honors math class in this school, if you were an honors math student and you took the Regents, approximately 80 to 90% of the students scored an 85 or higher. That does not happen anymore. Last year, I believe at Saxton, they had somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 students take the test. I believe 3, maybe 4 scored an 85 or higher. In this building last year, we had, I want to say 38 or 37 kids take the test, and we had 4 kids score 85 or higher, maybe 5, no more than that. It's very challenging, and you have to commit yourself. Now, I'm not saying to be scared, and I don't know what you're like, but my attitude is such that, yeah, you're going to try to screw up my life, I will screw up yours. And I will do whatever I have to do to make sure that I do not allow them to make a test so ridiculous that I can't get a great grade on my college transcript. I will fight them tooth and nail. That's just my attitude. Now, if your attitude is such that, oh, it's too hard, you're in trouble. You have to be very serious and very focused. Now, I'm going to go through this question. And look, if I was a ninth grader and I got this question for the first time, I would be blown away. So if you were blown away, you're normal. And I would have been just like you at your age. So please don't think I'm better than you. It's not like that. But I am going to show you how to do it. And I think that you should be able to say to yourself, you know, if I'd have thought a little differently, I could have at least worked my way through this enough that I got 3 or 4 points out of 6. And if you take the hardest question on a test, and this might be the single hardest question I've ever seen on an Algebra Regents for any course, and you can get 3 or 4 out of 6, you're going to do really well on the test. The problem is if you get 0 out of 6. Okay, so for whatever reason, I don't have a PDF copy of this on my computer, so I'm just going to write it up on the screen. Can you guys scooch back a little bit, please? So, let me get my reading glasses on. Pretty much useless without them. Clarendon Park undergoing renovations to its gardens. Okay, so it starts off with a garden. You don't know how long it is on each side. When you don't know how long something is, what do you call it? X. And it's a square. So you know it's X and it's X. All right, so far so good? Did everybody have that on their paper? No. That's not good. All right, you have no place to start if you didn't do that. So we're going to start with a square because that's what they talk to us about first. They say, oh yeah, we got this square garden and the length of each side is X. Then the next thing they say is that they take one of the sides and they double it. And then they take one of the sides and they take 3 away. So the new figure is not a square anymore, it's a rectangle. And its dimensions are 2x times x minus 3. Everybody agree? Right, because it says it doubles. So if one side was x, what do you double x, what do you get? 2x. And then if you show the original side was x and you decrease it by 3, what do you get? X minus 3. Now, in all honesty, is that hard?
No.
No. And that's the part that I think all of you should have been able to do. And when I saw that on a kid's paper, I put 20 down. All right? So now we got at least 20 out of, which to me means like you got 1 or 2 points on partial credit, which means we're getting something out of the deal. Now, it gets really, really confusing when it says the new rectangular garden is 25% more than the original square garden. And this problem is very difficult because I don't think you understand that much about percents. When you have the entirety of something, right, you have 100%. Do we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you have a perfect average, what do you have? 100 average. You have 100% of the grade. If I'm going to be 25% greater than that, what percent is 25% greater than 100%? 125. Does that make sense? How do you write that as a regular number? That's right. So if I take the original square area, which is x squared, and I multiply it by 1.25, that's going to create an area that's 25% greater than the original square. Does everybody agree? You with me on that? All right, the original square is x squared, the area, agree? Okay, I want to write a number, or I want to find an area that's 25% greater than x squared.
Yeah,
So I multiply it by 1.25.
why is it 1?
Because the 1 represents the original area, and the
Oh.
0.25 is the 25%
Okay.
greater. And to me, that was the hardest part of the whole problem. And then it says now that that is equal to the area of the new rectangle, an area being length times width. That is really hard. I have never seen anything so difficult in all of my years of teaching that they ask kids to do. Because the state gave it to you, and I gotta prepare you for it. Oh, no, listen, when you wanna compare, I know you're being kinda, facetious about it, but what would be really, really unfair is if I never did this. And then you walk into a Regents and get something like this, can you imagine? You would wanna shoot. Minor?
What was that word you just said? What does it mean?
Facetious. It means that you're kind of kidding around and not really serious with what you said. Like, for instance, if I said to you, if you guys screw this quiz up tomorrow, after I go over it today, I am going to publicly execute somebody in this class. I'm not serious, but I'm making a point. You follow what I mean? Yes.
Are you gonna have a practice, Regents?
Yes, as a matter of fact, well, first off, once we start reviewing, you are going to do every single practice Regents question they've ever given us for Common Core. Plus, I have a file that allows you to go in there and change the numbers and give you the same questions with numbers changed. So you'll have those. Plus, I'm gonna look up all the integrated algebra questions that are similar to the Common Core questions and give you all of those. Plus, I have gone back and tried to find some of the questions in the modules that I thought would reflect this. So you are gonna get tons of questions. You're gonna get one whole test that's just a Regents to do as well. Okay? Yes?
We're taking a Common Core one and a regular one?
No, Common Core is the regular, for you guys.
I thought we.
Last year it was different. This year it's just Common Core. Yeah. Okay, yeah, last year, kids who
That's to
got,
get the highest
like,
grade.
for example, last year, I'm not remembering the kids' names, but, let's say we had, I'll use your brother as an example, but I don't know his numbers, so these aren't exact numbers. Mr. Angelora, the teacher at Saxton, said that kids scored anywhere from 7 to 8 points below the integrated algebra Regents on the Common Core as a whole. So let's say that your brother scored an 80 on the Common Core Regents. Then he tended to score 87, 88, 89 on the regular Regents. So they had that out. You don't. You have the one and only one. Lucky you, huh? Okay, so now, not only was it hard to set this up, this is hard to solve, because we haven't done one like this all year long. So, first I'm going to distribute the 2x. 1.25x squared equals 2x squared minus 6x. Now, it's a quadratic, so I gotta get everything on one side. So I'm gonna minus the 1.25x squared. And this is really getting ugly very quickly, because we now have a quadratic with a decimal in front of the x squared, which is just ridiculous, because there's no way on God's green earth you can factor this. You know what I mean? So, I have to get rid of the decimal. That means I have to move the decimal 2 places. If I have to move the decimal 2 places, how do I do that? Multiply by 100. So I'm going to take the whole equation, multiply by 100, and that'll give me 0 equals 75x squared minus 600x. And at least I've gotten rid of the decimal. So far, so good?
Can we go back to right there? The before you,
This one?
before
This
the
one?
right there, yeah.
Okay. What do you want me to do here?
I just want
Okay. I was wondering if you felt as weird as I did about that. Okay. Now, here's the great saving grace of this question, the beautiful thing about this question. There's a common factor. Nobody factors 75x squared in the front for fun. That's just ridiculous. So I can pull out a 75x, and I'm left with x minus 8.
Wait, what?
They share a 75. 75 goes into both 75 and 600. and they share an x. So I pull out the greatest common factor, which is 75x. Are you getting the idea? You're gonna need to look this over this weekend?
Yeah.
Wait, don't we have it tomorrow?
Oh, it's tomorrow, Thursday? Yeah, tomorrow and this weekend. Okay, so maybe it's the guy on the left, maybe it's the guy on the right. Divide by 75. X is 0. Now that's ridiculous because we can't get a rectangle, or I should say a square with length 0. And in this case, I add 8 to both sides. And I get x equals 8. Now, I believe that they xed for the area of the original square,
Yep.
64.
For
We
what?
had one, because of the square.
8. What's the area of the original square?
64.
64. And then what's also pretty cool, one thing I do like about word problems is at the end of the problem,
Rectangular square.
listen, at the end of the problem, you can figure out if you're right or wrong. So what's 25% of 64? Bless you. God bless. What is 25% of 64?
8.
No,
Oh, I know.
16.
So you go
Now, 64 plus 16 is 80. Let's go to this one, the rectangle, and see if it works. 8 minus 3 is 5. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 times 5 is 80. I know I got it
16
right. Right, because you got to double the 8, it's 2x, and the other one is minus 3. All right?
16 minus 3 is like 5.
No, it's 8 minus 3. It's the x minus 3, not 2x minus 3. Yes.
So the new area would be 80.
Well, but they don't want the new area. I think they wanted the
It
area.
said
to-
determine the area in square meters of the new rectangle.
Oh, the new one. So the new one would be 80.
And then for writing the equation, it would be that.
How do you get 8?
Honestly, if you wrote this, you wrote the equation. You don't have to go further. That's enough for writing the equation. Yes.
How'd you get 8?
Oh, because look, x is 8, so 2x is 16. Agree?
Yeah.
And then x is 8, so x minus 3 is 5, and 16 times 5, length times width,
Oh.
is 80. Yes.
Wait, which one is the first? The one on the left is the first square?
Yes.
So then why is there like a line through?
Because it says I take 3 away. So I had to go up 3 and then over to make my rectangle.
Could have another one.
Okay, tomorrow.
You
should like give us Friday through Monday to figure it out.
No, you gotta step it up because this isn't the only tough question that's coming.
And more like this?
This is the hardest, but there are other questions that are challenging. Now, listen, we've known each other for a while. And one thing that you should know about me is I will tell the truth. If I think there's something wrong with you, I will let you know that I think there's something wrong with you. This is not your fault. This is an extremely hard question. In fact, it's a sadistic question. It's evil, it's horrible, it's disgusting, but none of that matters. The only thing that matters is that we get it right. So we're gonna work. Every person in this room, from Parker to Andre to Caitlin to Olivia and everybody in between, is capable of getting this right if they care enough to work at it. If you don't want to work at it, you will get it wrong because it's very hard. You work at it, you'll get it right. I have said many, many, many times that I believe more than anything, this is a test of your character. And that's what we're going to find out right now. Okay, as far as this question goes, this is like the do it from the other day, and we don't have an enormous amount of time. So I'm just going to ask, are there any questions about this that you didn't understand that you need me to go over? Or is everybody confident with this? We did very well on a similar quiz.
Wait. About this one, there's 2 points, right?
This one meaning H.
If they did
Yeah, it says the
0
interval
and
from
2.
0 to 3, so you're gonna take these 2 points, which are 3, 9, and 0, 2, and then change in Y, change in X. Yes,
Does it matter which one you do, like subtract first?
as long as you do it in the same order. For instance, if I did this minus this, I then have to do this minus this. Otherwise, your
The
answer will
other
come out.
ones don't have to be the same?
It doesn't make a difference as long as within any one example, you do it in the same direction. Otherwise, you will get the negative of the answer, okay? All right, are we good? Okay. So now, let's go to what we're talking about. At this point in time, we are pretty much done with everything in the course. All right, why is this not? All right, we're pretty much done with everything in the course. What we're going to do at this point in time is we're going to go back, and I looked at how I taught the course, and I said, you know, I didn't do enough of this, or I didn't do enough of that, or I'm just a little scared that the kids don't remember this particular topic. So for the next 3 or 4 days, we are going to go through different topics, little bits every day. Not a lot. You've already, you've already done questions like this too, but I think you're not gonna remember them. So for the next 3 or 4 days, I'm just gonna highlight different things. Other than that, we're done, and it's time to review, okay? I'd like everybody to do this first question. Okay, so this is called a step function. It's called a step function because the domain kind of changes based on what number we're talking about. So if you look at this, it says f of x is equal to, and now what's very, very strange is f of x could be one of two things. And which one it is based on the value of the input. Remember, x stands for input. If the input is less than or equal to 2, I want you to use this rule. If the input is greater than 2, we want you to use that rule. Every single Regents lately, the 3 since the Common Core started, has a question like this. They're not difficult. I just want to make sure that you understand what to do. As hard as the last question was, it is as easy as this question is. Okay? Find f of negative 3. Now, which function, the top or the bottom, should I use if my input is a negative 3? Everybody?
Top.
Top. So I'm going to square it, then multiply by 2. Remember the order of operations here. So if I put in a negative 3 and square it, I get 9. Then I multiply by 2, and I get 18. What's that? Yes, but just remember to put the parentheses around the negative. Anytime you input a negative, put parentheses around it. I don't think Coach Friend would be upset with me, so I'll say this. He's one of my best buddies on the face of the earth. Last year at the high school, I taught his son Kevin. I've worked with Kevin. I've tutored Justin. I'm very close with the family. Kevin constantly forgets to put the brackets around the negative. For whatever reason, it's just this brain blockage he gets. And he'll get the question wrong. He knows everything. He's really smart. He's a fantastic kid and a great worker. He just forgets to do that. So you guys are fantastic kids. You're great workers. But we don't want to pull a Kevin Friend. We don't want to get it wrong just because we forget to put parentheses around it. Next up, f of 3. What's 3 times 3? 9. 9 minus 4? 5. Okay? Any questions on a step function? All right, here's another step function. Ready? G of x is equal to the absolute value of 3x, or negative absolute value of 3x, if x is less than or equal to 1, and absolute value of negative 3x, if x is greater than 1, find g of positive 4. Go ahead. Find g of 4. This is one I really think you can do in your head. I don't think you need a calculator. You have a addiction issue to your calculator if you need a calculator for this. Wilfredo. Don't twitch on me here, Wilfredo. You don't need the calculator. Hello, my name is Wilfredo, and I am a calculaholic. Okay, so first off, which rule am I going to use? The top or the bottom one? Bottom one, good. So I take the 4, I plug it in, and first thing I do is negative 3 times 4. What is that?
Negative 12.
And then I do absolute value. What is that?
12.
12. That is my answer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an easy one. If you can't do that without a calculator, you don't belong in accelerated math.
I don't belong.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here's another example of a step function. Ready? A parking garage charges $7 for the first hour and then $2 for each part of a half an hour after that. So for instance, if you parked in the garage for 55 minutes, it would cost you,
$5.
$5.
of course, more than $5. Oh, 1 hour and 5 minutes costs $7 and so on and so forth. As does an hour and 29 minutes. Okay, so It's $7 for the first hour. So what is your cost for parking if you park for 15 minutes?
7 times
7. For the first hour, it's $7.
Oh.
What is it for 55 minutes? $7. Now, is 70 minutes longer than an hour? Yes. So now we go to the new rules. See how we're changing rules here? That's the step, okay? $2 for each additional part of a half hour. So 70 minutes now gives me an additional $2, so that makes it up to what? 90. Now, at 90 minutes, I've started another half an hour, agree? So then it goes to what? But when I get to 110, have I gone a whole half hour yet? No, so it's still 11. Now, when I go to 135, have I gone past that next half hour? Yes, so what's that gonna cost? What's it gonna cost? 13.
Wait,
And
wouldn't
then
it
$9
be,
more.
wouldn't it be even more because that's more than 2 hours? And at 1 hour is only.
Well, you get your 7 plus your 2 and 2 and 2. And that's
It
how you come
says-
up with 13.
But it
Okay.
says if you park for an hour and
Yeah.
30 minutes, it costs $9.
Yeah, would it be
So wouldn't it
$9?
be
Oh, I-
9 plus 11?
Oh, I guess, all right, so hold on, we'll call this one 9. I guess what that means then is they're saying at the 90th minute, you haven't started yet for the next half hour. Does that make sense?
No. And
Okay, so now what we'll do is this. Let's show you the graph, and when we show you the graph, you'll understand why we call this a step function, because your graph is going to be in the shape of steps. All right, I'm not gonna label the axes because we're running low on time. We'll let each one be 1. So this will be minutes, ready? We're gonna go 0, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, and so on. And these will be ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's $7 for the first hour, no matter what. Agree? Up to and including the, I know we did, but I'm not sure we did it well enough, so I wanted to come back and hit it again. Then, how much more does it cost as soon as the next half hour starts? $2 more. But, this is what we found out on the 90-minute guy, remember? For the 90 minutes, it doesn't work, so that's an open circle.
Oh.
Remember how an open circle means it doesn't equal it, but we get really, really close? Okay, and then we go straight across. What happens at the next half hour mark?
$2.
Oh, actually, 60, it should have stopped here. Then here, then here. Each time we're gonna add $2 all the way up the way. So it's open circles as far as we can go across, okay? All right. Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, toodaloo, ta-ta. Arrivederci, smile a lot, ciao. Arrivederci, adios amigos y amigas. Cheerio, toodaloo, ta-ta. Arrivederci, sayonara, galusharus, kodafish.